Do we start? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the last session of PRSI E-Engage 2020, organized by the PRSI Kolkata chapter. The last session, the valedictory session, also is a session for celebration. Apart from looking at the future, we also look at some of the most memorable activities, performances, achievers in the last 1 year, in some cases, even over lifetime. So we are just now here in this valedictory session, and I shall be calling the guests for the valedictory session one by one. And we will have, as has been already announced, we'll have the Secretary General of Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industries India office, Mr. Dilip Chenoy, as the chief guest of the valedictory session, will join exactly at 8 o'clock. The start of the valedictory session, we will have some contest awards, and let's have the contest awards for the youngsters first. And they have been waiting for quite some time. There have been posters, photographs, and even simulated situation, awards as well, PR campaign. So all those awards, let's begin with that. Let's have the AVs on the jury, the various jury members that we had. We had a bevy of good jury members. Let's look at them. Like everything in the world, any and every human initiative can evolve to the next level. But what is astounding is that after 8 successful years of physically organizing face-to-face e-Engage, which is Eastern India's largest digital communication meet, we have evolved now this year in the pandemic year to organize it online, digitally, and using virtual reality platform as well. It's a fabulous initiative. You have all, those who have been attending have already heard and seen the speakers of the last 2 days, including the fabulous panel just a little earlier today. And you've seen and heard what level of content has been shared, examples, case studies, trends, technologies, both in communication technologies and concepts and contents and trends in public relations. Both have been shared extensively, from the fabulous talk of Mr. Madan Bahal as the chief guest of the opening session, who is the co-founder of Ad Factors PR, to the last session that we had just now. In the valedictory session, we are looking forward to listening to another thinker, a thought leader of the country, the Secretary General of FICCI. I will introduce him at length later on. But let's begin first with awarding the youngsters on their performances on the contests announced by PRSI for the 9th edition. For the first contest, which is focused on photography, I'll call one of the jury members who is present here. I have the pleasure now to invite Miss Sucheta Das, an international award-winning photographer who has awards for Outstanding Achievement Master Cup USA, India Africa Shared Contest, and many more. She runs Images Redefined Photography Institute. AV on Sucheta ji, please. Okay, that's welcome, ma'am. Good to see you here. So we will be now awarding the photography body, the winner of the photography awards, the photography contest award. Before announcing the winner, can I request Sucheta ma'am to speak a few words about the quality of the contest and the entries? A few words on that, please.
Thank you. Namaskar. I want to give thanks PRSI who thought about me that I am the capable person to judge their contest. And few pictures are really very good, which we have selected for this contest. That it has a human interest category, and this particularly street photography, which we really emphasis for the candid shots and without Photoshop work. And that we have received some pictures. They didn't do any Photoshop work, and pictures of human interest category and pictorial beauty is also there. And we really appreciate their work. They are young generation photographer, and most important thing that they tried to capture the real life, and they didn't arrange anything with picture we have selected for this as award-winning picture. They totally captured the thing. They didn't arrange. The arranged thing is totally prohibited in the documentation photography. So we really appreciate it, and we must congratulate the winners and thanks PRSI to encourage the young generation photographers like this way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suchita ma'am, for your encouraging words and also noting the specific beauty of the winning photographs. The winner, there are 3 winners. We'll have one and first runner-up and second runner-up. So let me first announce the winner, Deepobroto Dotto. Can we have the AV? Deepobroto Dotto, winner of the photography.
The winner of the photography contest is Deepobroto Dotto.
I don't think we'll be having them on screen. So we move to the first runner-up, Amitabha Chandra, and second runner-up, Rahul Sadukhan. Amitabha Chandra and Rahul Sadukhan, please have the AV.
The first and the second runners-up of the photography contest are Amitabha Chandra and Rahul Sadukhan.
Lovely photographs. Rahul is here. Yes. I'm happy to see Rahul. I don't know why Deepobroto or Amitabha are not there, but I'm at least happy to see Rahul, who has got a beautiful photograph of a mother, child, and a family. Yes. Torn and disturbed due to the floods, I suppose, a heavy rainfall. Rahul, if you could speak a line or two about your experience in taking that photograph and what was your thought behind it. Rahul.
Actually, I working on the waterlogged situation, and it was North Kolkata based area, and I saw that this family, basically father, children, and his mother was there, and they were trying to out of the home, and then uh, the situation is there that uh, the children will not available, or children is not there, is no scope for out because the water level is so high. So his
Right.
mother, yeah, try to escape from this situation, and they use chair so that they will not sink this water. And it was actually purely candid situation and candid click.
Okay, okay. And yeah, we could see that. It's a moment, a very
Yeah.
specific moment. If you had missed out that moment, that picture would not have come up so good. And the child was in
Yes, sir.
between, the mother was on end, and it was really a big, very beautiful moment. Thank you. With
Thank
that,
you,
we
sir.
end. And thank you. With all the awards and certificates and all would be going to you within 2nd of January. The
Okay.
physically the awards and the certificates and all. So it's just to
Okay.
announce here. And Suchita ji, you can just tell that I virtually hand over all the awards. You can just tell virtually.
Congratulations, Rahul,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
and wish
So
you
fine.
all the best for your future. You must carry on your good work and try to avoid all natural disturbance and go and shoot. We'll
Right.
advise you that.
Right.
Yes.
We
Thank you,
also
ma'am.
have a photograph which has got jury special mention. A fourth photograph which has got jury special mention. Can we see the photograph, please? AV.
Photography Contest Special Mention Anurag Chaudhary, Ashit Kumar Ghotok, Kunal Bagchi, Protim Banerjee, Ronodeep Kundu, and Shomya Shankar Ghoshal.
That's quite a large number of photographs. So obviously it could not be shown, but it's good to know that these were the other photographs which were found to be great. I'm told there were more than 150 photographs which were sent, of which selection was done according to certain criteria. And then finally, these are the ones which have come up successful. Thank you, Suchita ma'am. We'll move to the next program or the next level of next category of awards. And this is about best poster. Best poster. A poster was asked to be created on communication beyond COVID. On this broad theme, a poster was asked. Can I invite the jury member, Mr. Sandeep Sengupta? Sandeep Sengupta on screen. The AV, please, on Sandeep. Mr. Sen. Yes, welcome, Mr. Sengupta.
Very good
Mr.
evening.
Very good evening. Mr. Sengupta is the founder of Indian School of Anti-Hacking or Ethical Hacking. And we would know from him maybe a line or two about what this means. Because many youngsters here may actually be knowing about ethical hacking by word, but concept may not be very clear. He has got 20 years experience in cyber security. And in today's digital times, cyber security is a very critical function of every organization. He is very active, he plays a very active role in NASCOM and CII. We are very proud to have you as the jury member here. What is your experience, sir? First of all, what does your institute deal with? If you could talk about that in one line and two lines, and then talk about the contest. How did you find the contest? Over to you, Mr. Sengupta.
Thank you very much. Our Indian School of Anti-Hacking basically protects the people online digitally, and we have we empower young students, engineering students or different category students, almost 1,200 students per year, to upskill them on cyber security, because our country needs a lot of cyber security warriors, just like COVID warriors. We need cybersecurity warriors to defend ourselves from the foreign power who are constantly trying to break into our digital system.
Right.
Now, coming to PRSI, I have been fortunate enough to see the PRSI, in fact, empowering the PR professionals and different types of different professionals, from young professionals, I would mention, from different domains, who are taking the communication ahead on behalf of the MNC or SME. So I have seen over the last many years, in fact, not even 9 years, I have been seeing for at least 10 years or 15 years, that PRSI has been encouraging the young professionals by giving them, encouraging them to take part in this type of competitions. And these competitions actually help these youngsters to give a confidence that they can win and they can go out and win the world. And I have seen so many talents who has come out of these competitions, who has become very established now. So there are many people who has come back to us and shown us that they are now quite hotshot, big shots in the industry. But their starting was only from this type of competitions, where they got encouraged, they got the confidence, and then they have moved ahead in this to win the world.
That's
So I
very
look
good,
forward
very
to the
nice. Yes.
contestants.
So, Mr. Sengupta, if you could talk about the entries, the ones that you judged, along with other jury members, the posters, what was the quality of it? How did you feel? What were your general comments on that?
See, in any poster, there are two parts. One is the design part, which should be have a visual impact, and second is the message that it carries. So most of the time we see that the design part is very good, but the concept, the content part is not that up to the mark. Or sometimes the content is very good, but the visualization is not that up to the mark. So when we go into these entries, we have seen that in many cases, both the design and the message that it carries, both combine, the combination is very good. And not only it has carried the right message to the person, also the visually it can make an impact. So I believe when we combine these two, that the entries that we have selected has come up as the winner.
Great. And the winning entry is from, let's have the console play the AV. The winning entry in the poster competition.
The Media PR Students Poster Competition on PR Next. Winner Anushka Guha.
Great. I don't know whether Anushka is live on screen or not. We can have the runners awards, the first runner and the second runner up of poster competition. Can we have them on the AV, please?
The first and second runners up for Media PR Students Poster Competition are Swagata Chongdar and Shoptoshi Nag.
Your image is in your hands. Very good. Saptarshi Nag, Swagata Changdar, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one line. What's your first feeling today? I know it's a very limited time, but still, how do you feel winning this contest today? And what's just briefly you speak? Swagata.
Yeah, so good evening everyone. It has been pleasure to participate in such a great organization, and I feel honored for this. And thank you for this. It's really a
What do
very
you
happy
do?
moment for me.
What do you do, Swagata? What do you study
I
and
am a
where?
student. I am a student from St. Xavier's University. I am pursuing MA English from St.
Great.
Xavier's University.
Yeah, briefly, Saptarshi, what's your feeling and where do you study?
So, first of all, good evening, everyone. And
Good
it
evening.
was an honor for me to be selected in this competition. And I am a student of BSc Media Science from Future Media Institute.
Great, good. You have made, both of you have made your institutes proud with the awards that you got today. Can we have the special mention, jury's special mention of the other posters? These three were the best, the other posters. AV, please.
The special mention for the Media PR Students Poster Competition on PR Next are Shubhajit Rana, Shahbaz Zafar Khan, Shonchari Shaha, Pritistha Sarkar, Nilanjan Malakar, Ditipriya Mishra, Arnab Das, Ankit Kumar De, Ayantika Mojumdar, and Debargho Malakar.
Good to know that these 9 other youngsters have also done good work in the poster creation. With this, we end the poster contest part as well, and we move on to the second part of the program. Console to play AV
Thank you.
of the. Thank you. Now, in the second part, we have the valedictory address and the big awards. And for that, to begin that part, first I invite the chairman and the tall leader in every sense of PRSI Kolkata, Mr. Somojit Mahapatra. AV, please. Welcome, Mr. Mahapatra. Finally, the last hour of this historic online PRSI e-Engage is here. I have now the pleasure to invite the Honorable Valedictory Speaker and the Chief Guest as well of the Valedictory session, the Secretary General of Federation of Indian Chambers, Chamber of Industries, Commerce and Industries, FICCI, Mr. Dilip Chenoy on screen, please. First, the AV. Namaste, Dilip Saab. Namaste. Nice to see you. I know you have just spearheaded the FICCI's annual meet where the Honorable Prime Minister was there, several other ministers were there, and it's kudos to you for your commitment that even just within an hour of finishing the FICCI's annual meet, you are here addressing the communicators of Eastern India. Thank you very much for your presence. I must also inform the audience here, Mr. Chenoy, who is currently the Secretary General of FICCI, has been the Managing Director and CEO of NSDC, National Skills Development Corporation, which had the responsibility of skilling a huge number of youngsters around the country. I have had known him even during that time. He had worked for 19 years in Confederation of Indian Industries earlier and SIAM, at CII as its regional director as well. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Chenoy even in Pune on certain occasions. Thank you for your presence. I would now invite Mr. Pradeep Agarwal, the CEO of the Heritage Group of Institutes. The AV, please. Yes, a destination of high quality education is Heritage. Mr. Pradeep Agarwal, you could put your camera on as well. I would also like to invite now Miss Rita Bhimani, the very well-known Rita Bhimani. The AV. Yes, Rita ma'am. Thank you. Nice seeing you again. We all know, most of the audience members know, but still I would like to once again mention the original corporate PR head honcho of Bengal, of Eastern India. Rita ji founded Rhythm Communications. She's an author, very recognized author of best-selling books on communication. The Peacock book is great, by the way. Columnist, a well-known teacher, and a mentor to many youngsters. And very interestingly, she has been elected to the International PR Association Board of Directors as well. So, at this point, before we have the valedictory talk, let me request Mr. Somajit Mahapatra, Chairman, PRSI Kolkata, to launch the souvenir of e-Engage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The souvenir will be launched after some time. And thank you, Professor Chaudhary, for asking me to release the souvenir. But I take this opportunity of welcoming our esteemed guests. Let me extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Dilip Shenoy, and other esteemed guests on the virtual dais, Rita Vimani, Pradeep Agarwal, and Sandeep Sengupta just left. Every good thing comes to an end, and now we have reached the last session, the valedictory session of e-Engage 2020. As you are aware, e-Engage is not only Eastern India's largest digital media conference, it is also the first digital media conference to happen on a VR platform in Eastern India. Over the last 3 days, last 2 days, of course, today is the third day, we have been discussing a lot on our theme, communication next, future of peer communication industry. We are thankful to our speakers who have joined us and shared their valuable anecdotes on the current trend and insights on the future. We might have made some mistakes on our part, and we apologize for the same. However, we thank you for your continued support. Today, at the closing session, I would like to thank our 38 student interns who have worked so hard to make this event successful. I take this opportunity to wish them luck for their future endeavors. And with this, I request Professor Chaudhary to take the session forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mahapatra. Yes, we have been hearing 27 stalwarts of communication over the 3 days, including today, of which 8 of them are stalwarts from lady stalwarts from the various fields of communication. There have been speakers from US, New Zealand, and all parts of India as well. As the valedictory speaker now, we look forward to a roadmap guidance from Secretary General FICCI, Mr. Dilip Shenoy, on communication ahead, communication forward. So, can we have, Mr. Shenoy, your word of advice as the valedictory talk? Over to Mr. Shenoy, please.
You know, Professor Chaudhary, it's a pleasure to be here. And also, I would like to really recognize Mr. Somajit Mahapatra, the chairman of PRSI, and of course, Mr. Pradeep Agarwal, the CEO of the Heritage Group of Institutions. And of course, the real person whom we are here to recognize and facilitate today is Rita Vimani. And all the award winners and all the people who actually were in the running for the awards. I think each one of you, if you applied for an award in communication in this COVID era, deserve an award for the mere fact that you felt that you contributed something and also applied for the award going forward. So, anyway, congratulations to all of those who applied. And I only want to say 2 things. One, that I am a novice in communication and PR. I'm amongst the gurus in this sector. So please, if I make any statements that you already know or that you are aware of, and I'm carrying forward to Newcastle or sharing things you already know, please, I apologize for that in advance. The second thing I want to say is, in the era of PR and communication, there will be a pre-COVID era and a post-COVID era. A lot of the work that most of us do depended on certain vehicles to carry our messages. We were used to doing that in either sectoral magazines, national dailies, or other type of print media that was there. And in fact, the print media suddenly disappeared from the scene for a brief while in end of February or March and April and May in the form that we knew it. The readership also actually had dramatically changed. So most of us that had anything to communicate, including, for example, if it were picky, we had to actually find new ways of communicating and new ways of, you know, sharing what we actually thought about different problems. The next part of this thing is that everybody had, normally you had a brainstorming meeting, you talked to people, you viewed, drafts of things, you viewed, all the creatives, and you built a strategy together. You no longer could be together. You were in different parts of perhaps the same city. Sometimes the people went home, because they could not afford to stay in the city that they worked. And therefore, you had to actually devise a new way of connecting, of communicating, and of collaborating amongst each others to find what is the best way to actually deliver a message. Many of the one to many channels were not working. So it had to be a one to one and a many to many kind of an approach going forward. And it was very interesting because this means that everyone who was delivering a message on a particular channel had to deliver the same message or the same thing in the same manner with the same sort of persuasive skills or commitment that anybody else was doing it. Because while we were not able to communicate with each other, the recipients of the message probably were able to communicate and share what they heard from different people. So it was a huge challenge to actually find your chariot or your vehicle of communication suddenly disappearing, your method of collaboration and creative methodology kind of being disrupted. And then you suddenly found that in an organization, everybody had to get used to, and the initial things were, Skype, then you had Zoom, then you had, WebEx, and then you had Blue Jeans, you have StreamYard, and you had all these different types of digital uh, media and digital ways. And I'm sure many of us in this call, and certainly me, did not know how to even use one of them in an app manner before the pandemic struck. So all of us had to actually, irrespective of your age group or your position in the organization, everybody had to become digital savvy and be able to communicate digitally, operate digitally. And I think the most commonly used word in today's day and age is, excuse me, but you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself so that we can hear you? Or, the alternate to that is, can you please mute because you're interrupting some other speaker? And that is not the type of PR or the communication normally we would like to do to promote our product or services or convey our message. So it has actually led to a huge, huge change in mindset. And therefore, all of those who actually applied would have got something new, developed something, exceptionally relevant in this time. As I said in another forum, that it is not the CTO or the CEO or the boss who actually drove the digitization of the processes in an organization. It was actually COVID 19. And you didn't have the time to transit. You had to do it overnight, or you actually would lose out in communicating your message. What is also interesting in the Indian context, typically we thought that digital was primarily urban. This morning, the Prime Minister, in a speech to us at the FICCI annual convention, actually talked about that the rural internet penetration is greater than the urban internet presentation. And when we are looking at the whole system, we found that you might be targeting a particular message for one segment of society or one type of people, but because everybody has got universal access, right? They could actually read or hear or see your message and actually draw different conclusions. The other aspect here is that in this industry, creativity is important. And what has happened during COVID, and this is something that all of the people who are recruiting, who are in this segment need to look at, we've had 1.35 billion Indians becoming creative geniuses. Whether it is chefs, whether it is people who work in the beauty industry, or people who are dance classes, or yoga teachers, or doctors, you name the profession or you name the creative things, singers, even the news readers had to actually go and find a new way of creating news. TV shows had to be shot differently. So we actually got 1.35 billion people uploading creative stuff on the internet. And if you're looking at the best creative minds, you need to find a way to develop algorithms, troll the net, find some of the best videos, the best creations there, and see how you can attract them and come into this sector. So that was the third point that I wanted to make. And I think digital is now. And what we need here is how do we create and how do we mainstream a lot of what we have done during this period when we return back to the new normal. I was talking about the whole education system. Education companies, education institutions, and companies are interacting now and having virtual placement seminars. 60 crore kids had to actually move from offline and physical classes to online classes. That's another communication thing. How do you attract students? How do you attract industry? How do you communicate? So it's a huge kind of a thing. And then when you go forward, will you return back to physical, or will you continue on digital, or will you find a phygital way to go forward? So I think if there were three messages that I wanted to leave you with, the first one was that this sector has seen tremendous disruption, and if you're able to overcome this disruption by ensuring that you're able to find the mediums to communicate, find the ways to collaborate, and engage with the potential people that you want to engage with, you have actually done a great service here. The second is that there's a whole lot of talent out there which has suddenly emerged, and you have to see who is digital in your company, what are the skills that you want. Normally you would look at the three C's, communication, creative thinking, but now you need the ability to deal with technology. You need the ability to have foresight and look up for any back-end plans. And the third aspect, which I actually talked about, is to understand what are the ways and things that you did during the COVID that you will mainstream into the organizations, into the profession that you go forward. But I'm certain that the profession and the people in this profession and the practices that they followed and the principles that they had pre-COVID are dramatically going to change post-COVID. And those people who adapt to this, who actually train and believe that they can actually work at mastering them, will be the winners of tomorrow, and the others will only have to play catch up. So again, thank you very much for having me here. And I once again want to congratulate all the winners, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chinay. You have very succinctly, in few words, brought the crux of the context of communication change today. Very nicely told that pre-COVID or pre-web world was more about communication one-dimensional. The sharing and interacting have increased in a big way this time. I would always believe that print media led the second half of 20th century. It was electronic media which led the first 20 years of 21st century, and we are now moving towards a web-led communication. Whether it's web entertainment, whether it's web journalism or mobile journalism, or whether it's web-led brand communication. You have also spoken very succinctly about reinventing ourselves, change of mindset. COVID has created a leapfrogging for which we were not ready, and therefore has created new heroes in every organization. The new heroes who are web savvy and change oriented, and they are resilient to the dramatic changes that you spoke about. Yes, you are right. Creativity, content, and communication, these have come to the front even in this COVID times. And these are leading to a web led convergence post COVID. And I really appreciate mainstreaming the gains of COVID times that you brought forth. Mainstreaming the gains of COVID times is something that most of us haven't applied our mind yet. We were coping up with COVID times. What you are asking is find the best lessons and mainstream them. And technological change in the long run should bring forth neither a pure physical, perhaps not even fully digital, but what you call phygital, blended, or hybrid world ahead. Thank you very much for your message that you brought forth. Now that the valedictory speech is over, the three messages from Mr. Chandra are given. I think Chairman PRSI Kolkata, Mr. Mahapatra, can release the souvenir of E-Engage. Would you like to do the honors, please? Okay. Yes, you can show it a little above, a little higher. Okay.
Yeah. I take this opportunity to launch the souvenir for Engage 2020, E-Engage 2020. This is the 9th edition you are finding. And we got support from our advertising associate, Ordnance Factory Board. Ordnance Factory Board. With that, the souvenir is launched for E-Engage 2020. Thank you, Professor Chaudhary.
Thank you. Thank you. And we move to the very, very significant part of this program. The very significant part is saluting our mentor. Someone who has set standards of communication in this part of the country and taken it to a global level. Yes, no prizes for guessing because we know it by now. I have with me Ms. Rita Bhimani, the founder of Rhythm Communications, elected to the International Public Relations Association board as a director on the board, someone who has been a corporate PR initiator and head honcho here. She has authored several books, has been a columnist in newspapers here in this part of the country, and there is not a single institute perhaps where PR and communication is taught where Rita ji has not taken a guest faculty session or module or whatever. And I remember several times when I was Dean of Symbiosis and my students were doing programs here, she was one of our very affectionate speaker and a guide to the students organizing footprints long back. So let's have AV for lifetime achievement in communication to Ms. Rita Bhimani.
Rita Bhimani is an iconic figure in the world of corporate public relations. Reaching the golden milestone in the profession has shown that she has immense staying power and sustainability. Her endeavor and zeal is vivid in her writings on public relations, with PR 2020 capping it all. Her teaching of the subject on a continuing basis, helming of key conferences, her mentoring of students, her keynote addresses at important conventions and current talks through the virtual medium, and upgradation of her personal skill sets in tune with today's digital disruptive scenario. Awards and recognitions have come aplenty nationally and internationally, but she has also given back to the profession through her own medals to promising students. From a formal corporate multinational structure to the entrepreneurial role in her own consultancy has shown her mettle in strategic planning for innumerable clients. As author, columnist, anchor person, soft skills trainer, her platter is excitingly diverse. We feel honored to confer the Lifetime Achievement Award on Rita Bhimani.
Such a beautiful AV, bringing forth the entire lifetime work in just a minute. There's some disturbance in the back. Anyway, so I really like that word Jono Mohini on the cover of that magazine with you on the cover page. I must, before I request Ritaji to speak, I must tell the audience, it's not that Ritaji is only the icon of communication around her. Her entire family epitomizes communication. She is in the domain of public relations and corporate communication. Her husband, late Kishore Bhimani, our very dear Kishore Da, has been a very well-known sports journalist and commentator this country had ever seen, and has been in the latter life, second part of his life, in his second innings, a good teacher as well, groomed several students and institutions. Her son, Gautam, is a broadcast journalist, a broadcaster, producer of program, very high quality with ESPN and many others. And her daughter-in-law, incidentally, I have a little memory with her. She was a student of the institute I was director of, and she is in fashion communication. The entire family epitomizes communication. Rita, ma'am, would you like to speak a few words, please?
Thank you, Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary, for these wonderful, wonderful words. And I would also like to thank Mr. Chanori for this excellent speech, which has brought out all the aspects that we have been looking at during these difficult times. And I think we are encouraged by your words, and I'm sure we're going to take forward whatever you have valuably suggested to us. Thank you also, Somjit Mohabatra, for these 3 days. It's been a mammoth setup that you have managed.
Unfortunately, there is a little audio glitch there at Ritaji's end. I would like to, because this award, though physically will be handed over to her later on, but this award virtually is being handed over by the Honorable Secretary General FICCI, Mr. Dilip Chenoy. Mr. Chenoy, would you like to say a few words on this occasion of awarding an icon of communication?
It's unfortunate that she will not be here to listen to what I have to say, but she is an icon, she is a role model, and I was extremely delighted to hear that it is, it is going to the next generation, because I think that is what, is really key going forward. She has been in all aspects of the if I were to use the word business, just to actually put it in that way, but she has also been giving back to the profession, and I would like to congratulate her on this award, a very special award given by the PRSI Society. So thank you, and congratulations to you, Ji, for that.
Thank you.
Dedicated to the profession, starting from a practitioner to taking it across to a professor, if I could use that, or preacher, if you're looking for another word. Congratulations, well deserved.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Ritaji would listen to the entire thing, don't worry, because it's all recorded, where she will surely listen to it later on. I would request everyone else to mute the devices.
Professor Chaudhary, if I can just come in once again, and again, this is the power of digital.
Right.
If you were having a physical event, we
right.
have to video record it, and then we'd find a way to upload it. And then only limited people can do that. But in this world, including in the education field, whenever it is recorded once, it will be viewed by different people at different
Right.
points of time to actually take what they want. So this is also a dramatic change that is digital is bringing into the form of communication and the whole
Right.
area of education.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chinoy, two more very interesting awards will be given now for those who have done fabulous communication work during the COVID times in the last 8 to 10 months. So, two special awards are being given. And for that, we will uh, call the first award, which is the Award of Excellence in Communication and COVID during COVID times, activity during COVID times. So this will be award for excellence in PR and campaign during COVID times, given to Adamus University. The AV, please.
The Award of Excellence for the COVID Times PR brand campaign goes to Adamus University.
The specific reason for which the jury has given the award is Adamus University is the only non-medical university of the country which has given its campus to government as a quarantine center in March last week, to have 1,000 bedded quarantine center inside the campus, turning all hostels and some classrooms into temporary isolation center. So the government did not put 1,000 people, but more than 435 people were put, and entire food and their upkeep was all maintained inside, and there was a doctors and nurses full center there. And Adamus was responsible for feeding 3 times, breakfast, lunch, dinner, also to all the people who were there till they were for 14 days or 21 days, whatever time they were put there by the government. The national media, even international media, including BBC and others, covered it. There are also stories, a couple of stories that have come in the media, strong manner. I think many of us have seen that story. One of the professors who had gone to the hinterland during the lockdown period had actually created a platform on a tree to reach out to the students because internet connectivity was not there at home. Only that place he made the temporary platform for teaching had the internet connection. There were many other reasons, and these were all covered in the media in a bit. Along with this, another important award, and I would like to bring that, announce that as well. This is just 1 minute. Yeah, best practices in PR and brand campaign. A brand that was born during COVID and did fabulous work in the last 7 to 8 months. abpeducation.com from Ahmedabad. They're the winner. The video, please.
The award for Best Practices for the COVID Times PR brand campaign goes to ABP Private Limited.
To be specific, it's ABP Digital, part of which is abpeducation.com. Can we have the representative, if she is there, present on screen, please, from abpeducation.com? I believe Ms. Anchal Dalmia should be there, if I'm not wrong. Okay, we move ahead. I request Pradeep ji to speak on this occasion and also speak about how communication might have and has been done during. Pradeep Agarwal ji.
Thank you. Thank you. I must thank you, Mr. Dilip Shinoy, for giving us a new dimension of communication platform to engage effectively. Let me congratulate PRSI for an excellent and utmost engaging Engage 2020 on virtual platform, which has brought highest ever number of participants. Let me also congratulate all the winners of Engage 2020. I am thankful to PRSI for giving Heritage Group of Institutions an opportunity to be an award partner continuously for last 9 editions of Engage.
Great.
So I once again congratulate all the awardees and wish them all the best in their endeavors. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Ujjwalda.
you. Thank you. And I really thank you for another reason. 9 years of support to all these awards is not an easy thing. Not a and also setting standards of education. Mr. Chinoy, if you must be aware, but still I would like to tell the Heritage Group has KG to PG, all forms of education in one campus, and they've already got awarded for awards for their schools. Just now, only a couple of days ago, I suppose Telegraph has awarded them as the best school here in Bengal.
That is
Apart
today's
from,
morning. Today
oh,
morning.
today's morning. Okay, I saw it on online, so I thought it's a day earlier. And then apart from that, their engineering college and all other colleges have been well positioned in this part of the country. And thank you, Pradeep Agrawalji, for setting standards there. We move
Thank you.
to we move to the next jury special mention for PR and brand campaign and PR and brand campaign during the COVID times. The special mention of jury, that's Ordnance Factory. Ordnance Factory. Can we have the AV, please?
The award for best practices for the COVID times PR brand campaign goes to Ordnance Factory Board.
Ordnance Factory Board. There is, I don't think anyone is representing here. Never mind. We move to the last category of award, and that is the next category of award, and that is award for the PR Professional of the Year. Can we have the AV, please?
The jury award for the COVID times PR brand campaign goes to New Alipur College.
Sorry, this was missed out. So the jury, this is a special award given to New Alipur College for their extraordinary communication work during COVID times. We have Dr. Amarti Saha representing the college. Dr. Saha, if you could speak about what exactly was the context in which you got the award and how do you feel about it?
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank PRSI for giving us this platform and in a way allowing us to apply for this particular award on behalf of New Alipur College, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. I thank the jury also for accepting and recognizing our humble effort. As the HOD, we were given the opportunity to design a campaign, especially keeping in mind the COVID times and the crisis that was happening. And when the lockdown started, what we realized was that within a few months, students who are not really used to staying home for so long started feeling a sense of depression and anxiety within themselves. And they were worried about their future and they were worried about what will happen, what would be the course of education. And it was very clear to us that we had to reach out to them. We had to create a very strong message for them, which would be securing their thoughts and kind of creating the sense of inclusiveness even during this lockdown, and creating in them a positive attitude that irrespective of the pandemic and the situation that they're in, the college would be there with them in an inclusive way with a blended learning and online learning method, and they would not really miss out on anything. And also what we wanted to aim for was we wanted to aim for those students who had just passed their boards and were looking forward to a college and they were not sure how their college life would start. So for a government aided college like us, it became important that because the people who come to our college, that if you look at their demographic profile, not all of them come from the city or are not, they're at times worried they don't have the right infrastructure to back them up, technological backing as well. So we had to design a couple of things. We designed a message for them where we kind of showcased to them how the learning would proceed. And we connected with them, our principal sir, over phone call, connected with as many students from the college as he could to ease them out. The students connected with the departments. And on behalf of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, we wanted to create awareness about our subject and create clarity on what they can experience when they pursue this course and what the scope of this particular course is. So that was acknowledged. I thank you, PRSI, and the jury and everyone present here
Thank
for
you.
acknowledging our effort.
Dr. Saha, taking a situation and creating communication message is a key skill that you give to your learners. You have done that so effectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We just talked about Ordnance Factory Board having got best practices in communication. Mr. Gagan Chaturvedi is here. He is the head of corporate communication. Can we have Mr. Gagan Chaturvedi on screen, please?
Professor Chaudhary, now that Rita ji is here, possibly you can get her to complete her speech. She is joined back.
Okay. Yes, a part of your speech was not. No, there's disturbance. There's disturbance. You can mute it. Yeah, mute it. There is a disturbance in the phone. No problem. Can we have Mr. Gagan Chaturvedi, please?
Is this am I audible now?
Ritaji, your audio is problematic. You can mute the audio. Okay, we go to the next award. Mr. Chaturvedi doesn't seem to be here. We go to the next award.
Try and log out and log in again because you've got some voice disturbance.
You can log out and log in. Yeah, you can log out and log in. Okay, we move to the next award, please, and that's for the PR Professional of the Year award. Can we have the AV, please?
The Award of Excellence for the Public Relations Professional of the Year award goes to Shubhrajit Dotto.
Do we have him on screen? Yes, Mr. Dotto is coming. Yes, welcome, Mr. Dotto. Would you like to speak a bit about your journey as a PR professional and mentor? So you please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor Chaudhary, and thank you, PRSI, of course, for the award. And it's been quite a journey for me, both as a professional and an educator. And what the challenge that what I was thinking when I was writing this, that when I was applying for this award, that it would be kind of an admixture, because I'm working for almost 17 years now. So it's kind of an admixture for me, mixing up my PR experience, what I have done on ground, and when I teach my students in India and abroad. So the question so nowadays it's a very different time for us, very kind of a transitioning phase, not only because of COVID, but the movement that COVID has initiated, both in terms of becoming us from the transitioning from the physical self that we are in to the virtual self that we will be very soon. So everywhere there will be a kind of a change, whether, say, for example, the gatekeeping function, how it will be more and more. So now all these platforms, if you have seen, very, very critical question for PR professionals and PR educators, that we have been always traditionally given the gatekeepers role to the editors. Now increasingly we are giving it to the technology companies. They are becoming the new gatekeepers. But when we are always asking our virtual assistants that Alexa suggest me something, and Alexa suggests me that, then who is the gatekeeper? So very, very different questions, very, very different realm of very different laws. When the human and AI will work together, we will also interchange a lot of emotions. And even in some countries, they're making a change that in some few years, one human can change, can adopt, can think of an AI partner, and there would be new rights, new rules, and everything that is going to come back in our stakeholder management. Who are our new stakeholders? will kind of a non-human people will be our new stakeholders, how we are going to manage those relationships. So every day I get very excited and thinking about it, that how the new journey will uncover for all of us. Thank you so
Mr. Dutt,
much.
thank you. Mr. Datta, if you could speak in a minute, your professional journey, which has earned you the award of PR Professional of the Year.
Thank you, sir. It's a long journey rather. It started in 2003 after I did my master's from Symbiosis. So that was I was doing my internship with Financial Express. Then it was Ogilvy and Mehta. I was one of the youngest corporate communication officer, assistant manager rather, for Haldia Petrochem. Then I was very, very young in between 2004 and 2006 before I left for Mahindras. So all these years were for PR and corporate communication in Mahindra. Then I went to Accenture. Then I handled the Middle East and North Africa markets, and then in Asia as well. Then I went for my second master's in Singapore. That also I worked for kind of an internship with the government of Singapore body. So that's everything was about PR and Corpcom, and then 2PO I was in public relations. So these were all the professional side. And once I transitioned into the academic field, then I try to do the apply those knowledges to I won't say teach, but with share with my students, and then how things are changing. So it's very interesting when you have like on the both sides, because a lot of times what happens is academics goes like this and education and the like it's in parallel. So on very few occasions education and the practices actually meet. So when I try all my endeavors in the class as well is so that these two ends meet, so that there is a kind of win-win journey.
You could speak about your teaching experience also in a line.
Okay, so teaching is I have started. I was with Ramoji Film City for some time, and then it was in Kathmandu. I have kind of it's becoming my second home now. I have taught more than 2,000 students there, starting from 18, 19 years old to 50 years old, and the 50 years old are senior bankers and bureaucrats. Like we have Indian Administrative Services here. There is Nepal Civil Services, and there are bankers, corporates, everyone whom I have been privileged. Again, I would not use the word taught, but have been privileged to share and gain from their knowledge as well. So, and that was also in Bangladesh, and a very limited exposure. Like the exposure had to start, but due to COVID, it has stopped a bit, like halted a bit rather. That's in Thailand, and there will be another few countries also in line. So yes, and now with Adamus, I'm an associate professor, so I also teach my students there. So yes, I have been privileged to. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We have now Mr. Gagan Chaturvedi already on the screen. Disturbance, Mr. Gagan Chaturvedi, in your background. Is there a disturbance of sound? Okay. But we'd like to hear you. So if the sound in your background is silent, then it's good. We'd like to briefly hear from you about the best practices of communication of the Ordnance Factory during the COVID times. Over to you, Mr. Chaturvedi, for a brief talk.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank PRSI for recognizing our efforts. The Ordnance Factory Board is a government department under the Department of Defense Production, and we've been in business for more than 2 centuries. We've been at the forefront in every crisis in the country. We've contributed by providing arms and ammunition to every skirmish, war, and battle in this country for over 2 centuries. However, branding is still a nascent phenomenon. We're still finding our feet. And it was only during COVID when we had a concerted corporate communication campaign to bring out our efforts in front of the public, largely as an effort to allay the fears of the public, to assuage the kind of panic that was building up because of the lack of personal protective equipment. Sanitizer was not available for love or money. And we used to produce explosives, but we could produce sanitizers in 4 days. And the most significant achievement of the ordnance factories during this period was to create a pan-India network of testing for the fabric that is used in the manufacture of coveralls. Before that, there were only 2 facilities in India, and you can imagine the kind of backlogs that used to build up. In 1 month, we had 7 centers all over the country. Then that formed the foundation of India emerging as the second largest producer of coveralls in the world. So not only did we, have our efforts, have an impact on the immediate crisis, but we also laid the foundation for long-term economic growth. And we were able to communicate it. We got appreciation from the highest levels of government. We were covered extensively in the Indian media and in the social media. And I'm sure this recognition from PRSI would go a long way in augmenting our efforts to establish our brand in the public mind in the long run. Thank you very much, PRSI, and thank you very much for the high standards that the jury exhibited while deciding this award. Thank you.
Thank you. We had jury from outside Bengal, a large number of them. They were introduced at the beginning of the session. And it's good to see two institutions and two corporates, 4 getting recognized for their great work during COVID times. Good to see that. There is one single student award remaining, and we'll have that. Console to play the award for simulated COVID campaign idea from Ishita Kanjilal. Please play the AV.
The winner of the simulated-based PR campaign contest is Ishita Kanjilal.
If Ishita is in the backstage, yes, Ishita is there. Speak a few words.
Good evening.
Good evening. Where do you study and what was the idea? Please speak a few words on that.
I'm studying Masters from Ravindra Bharati University, and I have done a diploma in PR from Bhavan Ashutosh College of Communication and Management.
Speak one line about the concept that you put forth in the contest.
This is the crisis management concept that I have put in the PowerPoint presentation. I'm first of all like to thank Public Relations Society of India for giving me such opportunity, then the jury for recognizing and appreciating my work. Okay. I could not have asked for any better ending of 2020 than this one. This is my moment, and I'm good. Honored.
We'd be happy if you can speak about the concept that you brought forth. One line maybe.
This is a concept. Yes, I have learned PR. So the basic concept was PR is one of the kind of crisis management. They are the team. They are the relationship manager. They are the educator, and I have just learned it and focused on the crisis that have delivered there was hospital. A hospital has seen a crisis during the COVID times, and they have diagnosed COVID, a wrong one. So I have just pointed. Yes, I have pointed some of the point the PR could give suggestion for the crisis management team.
Okay. Thank you. I was wanting to know about that crisis in a hospital. That was the point. Mr. Chenoy is not on screen just now. Rita ma'am, would you like to once again unmute and try closing your talk, which you could not? Yes. Would you like to just unmute? Unmute and try.
I have with me.
Okay. We cannot hear you. I'm sorry. I would like to now invite the vice chairman. Yes, Mr. Chinoy, you are back. Ma'am, there is disturbance still. Please mute your background. Yeah. Mr. Chinoy, before we bring this session to an end, first of all, sorry for the technical glitches which inadvertently have been there. But then it was very encouraging for these people who have been awarded to get the award in your presence. Any closing comment from you, Mr. Chenoy, before we invite the Vice Chairman for vote of thanks. Mr. Chennai, please.
No, thank you, Professor Chaudhary. Just once again, congratulations to all the winners. And no matter how good your message is, if technology does not cooperate, you somehow cannot get your message across.
Right.
I think I really apologize from all our behalf to Rita ji because we can't hear her. And I would have loved to hear her, and because she's such a wealth, has a wealth of knowledge and experience. But congratulations to all the award winners, and I want to compliment the PRSI Society for actually, even in this time, doing a digital awards ceremony. Thank you very much for having me with you, and all the very best. And may all the people who won awards actually go on and achieve greater heights, and those who applied and didn't will actually be able to even do contributions to the profession going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chennai. Can I have the AV on the Vice Chairman of PRSI Kolkata, Mr. Subhas Mohanty, the former Bureau Chief of Economic Times of Eastern India? Yes, the AV, please. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mohanty. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the PRSI fraternity nationwide, and participants, it is a matter of immense pride that I take you to the close of the PRSI Kolkata's historic symposium, E-Engage, conducted for the first time on a digital platform in 9 years. It truly recognizes a cause we have espoused since 2012 as the first professional body in Eastern India that digital would breach the citadel of communication and public relations. This year's program is a testimony to that belief we have held for the past 9 years that traditional communication practices will have to eventually embrace the digital to become the decisive voice in the world of business and commerce. The occasion is indeed momentous. 3 days, 9 hours of showtime, 27 speakers, including participants from overseas, 60 plus backroom resources, including 38 interns who readily and gladly shouldered this humongous task that from the confines of their home and often a compromised internet access is nothing short of exemplary display of determination. Despite the hindrances, these foot soldiers, 32 young women and 6 young men, for many first-time experiences, contributing over 2,500 man-hours to the effort, not enough can be said about the commitment which has made this program a path-breaking one in Eastern India. None could have fathomed that it was possible, especially build a strong presence on a multi-channel platform. For the first time in 63 years old history of Public Relations Society of India, nationally present in 22 states in the country, a virtual reality platform was built and used to beam the seminar across the globe that attracted viewership from not only India, but several countries including USA, UK, Japan, Germany, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and closer home, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. Marketing and publicizing the program was one of the biggest challenges in the new pandemic environment. But here too, we were able to reach phenomenal numbers with our teams and our interns working tirelessly and day and night to reach a huge virtual audience on our VR platform, Facebook, and YouTube. The speakers delivered a content that was contemporary and insightful, striking a healthy balance between growing digital experience and the tradition, which can hardly be ignored. The roots of communication and public relations was never compromised. Our awards program, designed to attract and encourage the burgeoning talent in the communication industry, evoked an extremely smart response of nearly 300 in numbers, perhaps keeping our illustrious jury on the feet, which performed its task to a nicety. We are certainly overwhelmed by the support of all our jury members for identifying the winners in a very short time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to thank each and everyone from the bottom of our hearts, without whose commitment and support the program could not have been possible. It is my pleasant duty to offer our heartfelt felicitations to our revered guests at the inaugural, Shri Dilip Shenoy, Shri Madan Bahal, Professor K.G. Suresh, and Shri Ravindra Chamaria for finding time to be present with us. My special thanks also go to the 27 speakers who gladly accepted our invitation to speak at different sessions during the 3 evenings, regaling the thousands of our virtual audience with their thought-provoking conversations. I would also take this opportunity to thank Mr. Bibhor Singhania for the creatives, Mr. Shodip Seal for the entire technical support, Mr. Akhil B. Paul for his technical inputs, Mr. Abhishek Ganguly for his backroom support, and Professor Shomir Mukherjee for envisioning and implementing the VR experience, which was a unique contribution during the seminar. I also wish to express my very special thank you to 3 young guns, Shayantan Sengupta, Ashia Ali, and Ritankar Mahapatra, who formed the crack advisory team for the program. The backbone of any successful effort must lie on the huge moral and financial encouragement of institutions that have stood by us as our pillars of strength. This happy task of mine cannot be completed, beg your pardon, without offering our deepest gratitude to our sponsors, ITC Limited, Adamus University, Infinity, Myabus Group, OFB, Be the Bee, AR VR Academia, Kolkata Institute of Graphology, Gypsy Caravan, Indian School of Ethical Hacking, Earth Digitally, Heritage Group of Institutions, MCKV Institute of Technology, Ambuja Neotia Group, and our advertising associate, Ordnance Factory Board. Finally, I wish to thank all our executive committee members for their help and support. And last but not the least, all our viewers who have shown so much interest in this year's E-Engage. Thank you all, and wishing you in advance Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good night.
And with that, we end the 9th edition of PRSI E-Engage. Engage in the E-format first time. Thank you, Dilip Sahib. Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Chairman and Vice Chairman. And thank you, our mentor and Lifetime Achievement winner, Smita Bhimani. Goodbye. Till we meet next year.